Sorry I'm a little late covering this. I've been a bit under the weather, and well, at least it's given me some time to somewhat solidify my thoughts on the Canon R8. Now, of course, I do not have a Canon R8 in my hands, but I did go over the specs when they leaked, and I was thinking from the spec sheet, it looked absolutely insane for the price tag that they were offering, and I knew back then that there had to be some caveats, otherwise they would not be able to have an R6 Mark II and an R8 with these specs. So I'm gonna add a bit of the caveats that, well, they did throw in, but the problem with this camera isn't exactly this camera. I know that's confusing, but it'll make more sense later. The big crippling that they put in this thing is a smaller battery, which is, I mean, that's creative even by Canon standards. I mean, that was great. So they did just add one card slot, and that's something that I kind of anticipated that they would do, and it makes sense for them to only do that. They no longer have the external 6K RAW option, and they actually got rid of the mechanical shutter pretty much altogether. So I mean, for a lot of people that is a big deal, especially if you're dealing with any kind of a rolling shutter, if you're wanting to take maybe high sports photography and high action sports photography. The body overall is quite a bit cheaper. It seems like it's a lighter, thinner looking plastic to me. The EVF isn't quite as nice. They don't have the joystick anymore, so it just seems like some of the things on the back is just, I don't know, it just seems cheaper overall. That being said, this is a $1,500 camera, and the specs are still very impressive, and it's kind of replacing the Canon EOS R, but it's doing it at $1,500 instead of like a $2,000 camera. Has the same autofocus, it has that same 24 megapixel sensor, which is a very good sensor. Has 4K 60 with no crop, which is excellent. Has C-Log 3, it has 10-bit, even though it's IPB, it's still 10-bit. So it has a lot of amazing things in this camera. And oh yeah, one other thing that I forgot to mention, it does not have in-body image stabilization. So, I mean, that's kind of a bummer, but personally, I had the Canon EOS R and I loved the lens stabilization along with the digital stabilization that came with the camera. You didn't have any weird warping or anything like that. So personally, I don't see it as a big downside. I think a lot of companies need to step up on the software side of things anyways, especially when you consider how good like a GoPro can be or even an iPhone can be in their steady shot mode. It's absolutely nuts, and really the major camera manufacturers need to really step up their game anyways. So overall, this camera is great in a lot of ways. I think it's great for a lot of beginners. But the biggest problem with this camera, the biggest issue that I have with this camera, like I said prior, isn't exactly this camera. The biggest problem with this camera is the lack of good, affordable RF glass. Now, some people may say, well, there's plenty EF glass and you can get an adapter.
That don't make no sense.
If you're gonna get a new camera with a brand new mount, I don't think it's an unreasonable request to actually want a new good glass for that mount. And to me, Canon's kind of in a position where either they give you like really cheap glass, kind of like their new kit lens of, what is it, a 24 to 50 f4.8 to, is it 6.3? Is it even that good? I'm not sure. Or they take even like a staple lens, which is like a 24 to 70 f2.8, and they make that $2,200, and that's $2,200 on sale. Initially at asking price is like $2,400. So Canon's not very good with any glass that's in between. They have very few good in between options. They have the 24 to 105 f4, which is a great lens for the price in my mind. I think it's a really good lens, but even it's like $1,300, and that's like one of one, and it's an f4. So having this pretty great camera for the price range is kind of well negated by the fact that you don't have any glass to go along with it. You've pretty much completely shut out third-party glass at this point, and you're definitely not looking to open up your mount, or it doesn't look like you're going to anytime soon. And opening up your lens mount, or at least not completely cutting off all third-party manufacturers from even actually creating lenses for your mount, is pretty much the best thing that you could do for your current customers and your future customers. So great job on the camera. It looks good for the $1,500, but you know, like, Where's the glass? But drop in the comment section below and let me know, what are your thoughts on this camera? Are you excited by it, or are you like me that, hey, sure, it's a great camera, but the lack of lenses are kind of its biggest weakness? Whatever you're thinking, drop in the comment section below and let me know. If you've liked this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing. And until next time, peace.